Hi, welcome to the Belly Brain Connection. I'm Hannah Winans. I'm a certified functional nutrition counselor, and I'm on a mission to help educate people about the connection between their gut health and mental well-being. Thank you so much for tuning in. I believe that our gut health is the cornerstone to our overall health, and when you nourish your body, you nourish your mind. Today is episode number 5. Thank you so much for tuning back in. I'm going to keep this one kind of short and fun and light because I know it's almost Christmas. You're probably running around doing a bunch of errands, and you're really not in the mood to hear about what not to eat. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about a really healthy Christmas food tradition that we have in my house and you might have in your home. And I wanted to dive into it a little bit deeper, and so I could share with you where the tradition comes from. So when I was a kid, we always had our big Christmas stockings, and it was fun for us because we weren't allowed to eat a ton of sugar. So Christmas was like the one time where we really got to go nuts. But at the bottom of our stocking was always a big orange and a handful of walnuts in the shell. And we always thought, I always kind of thought it was just my mom's way of saying like, hey, you can have your sugar, but I'm going to make sure I get some healthy stuff into you. But, it's kind of, I think of the Christmas Story, that movie, The Christmas Story. I think it's almost the exact situation where the kids have the orange and the nuts at the bottom of their stocking, and they kind of like throw it over their shoulders when they get to it. It was the same thing in my house. We just kind of laughed about it. But I thought she had told me also that her father, my opa, who was from Germany, that it was something that a tradition they had in their home. So I didn't really think anybody else had that tradition. And as I got older, I learned more and more people were getting the orange and the nuts in the bottom of their stocking. And so I thought, well, let's find out why. Where does this come from? Where did this tradition start? So the story that comes up the most when I research it is the story about Saint Nick. I guess before he was, the legendary Santa that we know, he was more of a regular guy, kind of, I guess. I'm not sure. But he apparently lived on a street. And on that street, his neighbors next door to him, they had three little girls, and they were pretty poor. And the story goes, he threw in a bag of gold into their home at nighttime, and the gold landed in their stockings. And so the oranges represent the gold. The other story that comes up, it's not really a story, but it's more of the tradition, is that during the Depression era, something like an orange was such a rare, rare treat that it really was a gift if you could get an orange in your stocking. And so it could be that is just a representation, or a tradition that started because at one time an orange really was something you would want to see in your stocking. And it brings up a story that I had been told by a colleague of mine years ago. She was a child during World War II, and I believe it was in Germany. And she says she could still remember the day that a soldier gave her an orange, and that orange was the most amazing thing that she had ever tasted, and how special that was. And all these years later, as an older woman, she still remembers that orange from being a child. So anyways, I thought that was kind of fun information. But the neat thing about oranges is that they're also a healthy brain food. And one of the reasons being is because they have a lot of vitamin C in them, which really helps to produce serotonin. And serotonin is that hormone that really helps us regulate our mood. So super important for us to have serotonin. 90% of our serotonin is actually produced in our gut. So again, tying that back to how important our gut health is for our mental well-being. But also the smell of an orange. So like in aromatherapy, I've known this for a while. Orange is actually one of my favorite smells, but just the smell of an orange can help to decrease stress and calm the body. And it's funny, as I'm talking about it, I'm thinking about the orange, and I'm like my mouth starting to water. I can almost smell it. And I realize my cephalic phase of digestion is kicking in right now. It might be for you too. And we covered cephalic phase in, I think it was episode number 3. So my body, thinking about the orange, has already got my system going and priming my digestive system. So I'm going to need to go get one after this video. So that's the kind of fun thing about oranges. Walnuts are interesting because they are a really, really healthy brain food for the reason that they're full of omega-3s. They have a lot of anti-inflammatory properties that really can help improve brain function. But the fun thing about walnuts, especially for kids, is that I think they're the food that most looks like a brain. I feel like walnuts and cabbage both kind of look like brains. But and I can't remember the last time I had a whole walnut in front of me and cracked it. But I remember as a kid at Christmas time, we always had a bowl of nuts on the coffee table. And at night, I'd hang out with my dad and we'd watch the news and we'd crack nuts. And it was just kind of a fun thing to do. And I don't think people do that anymore because we can just go to Costco and buy the bag of organic nuts, and not even have to worry about nutcrackers and bowls and the shells. But I remember it being really fun as a kid. So having these two, it's interesting to me that we have this tradition with the oranges and the walnuts. Both of them seem to be really good, or they are good brain foods. One of them looks like a brain, and they're foods that can help us through this kind of stressful season. So how fun is that? So that's kind of the oranges walnuts deal. So thanks, Mom, for setting us up once again for healthy habits and traditions. If this isn't a tradition in your house, make it one. And when the kids pull out the orange and the walnuts, explain to them why, and share them the story of Saint Nick. Explain to them how it's just so good for your brain. Let them smell the orange. I mean, there's so many things that we can do with our kids to get them excited about food and help empower them to realize that everything that they eat is information for their body. And I know for me as a kid, my mom was always telling me things like, eat your carrots. They're really good for your eyes. Eat your spinach. It's good for your muscles. And so I think that I know a lot of us are doing that, but if you're not, make it a point to, and bring this kind of fun, healthy holiday tradition in if you're not already doing it. Another thing that is really fun to do at Christmas time, I know a lot of us are getting together and we're grabbing everybody around and we're watching holiday movies and we're having cookies and we're having cocos. Switch it up. Take a sugar time out. Make some popcorn. When was the last time you made popcorn in a big pot like the old-fashioned way? Throw some coconut oil in the bottom of the pan. Pop up the kernels. It's super fun to do with kids. Throw on some melted ghee on it or grass-fed butter or cinnamon and really kind of make it an event. And get your nutcrackers out and crack your nuts and watch a movie together and just take a break from all that holiday sugar and make it fun, because those are the traditions that, when you can put them set them up for something that's really fun to do and healthy, is they're going to stick with those kids. I know I'm going to buy a big bulk thing of nuts. I got to find them somewhere, hopefully at Eureka Natural Foods, but, and have them out this year when we have everybody come over and just make it fun. So, little healthy holiday tradition that isn't too overwhelming. A fun little story to go with it. A couple other things I wanted to cover really quick. There's two new links that I posted up on the bellybrain.com website. One of them is a link to a YouTube interview. It's really fascinating. That was done with the Metabolic Mind is a YouTube channel that I follow, and they're going over I'm not sure what you want to call it. They're basically diving into the new USDA 2025 guidelines, so kind of an unmasking of those guidelines. And I think if you're interested in understanding our government and the role that they're playing in our food and nutrition, and I think a lot of us know that it's been pretty messed up for a long time. And so big food, big pharma, there's a lot of problems there. So if you're interested in that, in learning more about that, I posted that in the rabbit hole section of my website. So you can just click on that link and watch the video. The rabbit hole is kind of a section separate from other belly brain topics. This is more of a deep dive into what's going on with our government and our foods. And so not everybody wants to go down that rabbit hole, but it's there if you do. I also posted, there's a new study linking glyphosate to brain damage. And glyphosate is that pesticide that we spray all over our food. It's not allowed in other countries, but we allow it here, and it gets sprayed on our wheat and our corn. And it's super problematic. And I'm just really happy, on a positive note, I'm really happy to see that they're still doing these studies and that they're bringing this information to the forefront. So those are a couple things to check out on the Belly Brain website. Next week, for those of you who can't see it, I'm holding up my book, We're going to do a book review on the book, This Is Your Brain on Food, and it's written by Dr. Uma Naidu. I'm so excited about this book. You can see, for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, you can see all my sticky tabs. Oh, there's so much good information in here, and I can't wait to share it with you. But if you kind of want to book club it, you can link it. I linked it to it's on my website. It's linked to Amazon where you can go purchase it directly if that's easier for you. Really helpful information. I can't wait to share with you some really good nuggets out of here. So yeah, I think that's it. I just wanted to also wish everybody a Merry Christmas and thank everybody who's supporting me right now. It's really hard to do this kind of thing. It's really personal, feel kind of vulnerable, but I've just had so much encouragement from my friends and people around me who just say, keep going. So I'm hoping these are getting better as we go. And I just really appreciate you all for being here. So Merry Christmas. Try and take a sugar time out, make some popcorn, get some nuts, get some oranges, and maybe start a new healthy tradition in your household. All right. Thank you. Bye.